when I first bought my engine drive welder, I wasn't sure which one I wanted to get, and so I saw the Lincoln Eagle was pretty cheap alternative, and then I ended up finding the one I bought on OfferUp for a pretty good deal. But I couldn't find any other review videos on the Lincoln Eagle, and then someone actually using it, so that's the main reason I made this video. So check it out. This is it. I'll go ahead and pull off this tarp, but I did want to show the tarp before I show you the welder, because it's definitely worth having the tarp and keeping the paint real nice. So this welder I got, it's a 2019, and I found it on OfferUp for sale for 2,000 bucks, and it had 900 hours on it. But yeah, so definitely keeping the tarp keeps the paint looking real nice. And when I first got it, I went ahead and did a clay bar wax on it, so now it just always stays shining. And I definitely don't want to see, you'll see those welders all the time that are they're all faded, and the sun beats them down, and so there's a little bit of gas stain here, but other than that, I mean, the thing looks immaculate. So we can kind of take you around, and then I'm gonna work on a little project. I need to mount a vise in the shop, so we'll do that here in a second. But here's a little view of my welding trailer and how it's mounted. So if you look in the front here, you got the faceplate and your on-off switch, along with your auto idle, high idle, and then you crank it all the way over, you know, to start it up. But I'll start it up here in a little bit. You got a choke lever, your amperage settings right here. And like I said, I bought it used on OfferUp, so it has about 960 hours on it. I think I've put about 50 hours on it. I think it had 910 when I first bought it, and I've done some projects here and there. But you do have some soft rubber coverings, and I went ahead and put some Linco connectors on there, both on the negative and on the positive, so you could kind of see it when the tarp comes down. It does bulge out over these. So if you got maybe the straight ones, I don't know if Lincoln is different from Miller welders, but I got the 45-degree angle connectors, so they stick straight out, you know, horizontally. But if you got straight connectors, then your connectors would come down at a 45, and maybe it wouldn't bulge out the tarp so much. But that's what I got. On here, if you know anything about welding, you got some important stuff. These are your specs. So at maximum voltage, which is 225 amps DC, you can see up here you got 225 max. If you run at that max amperage, which is pretty damn hot for welding, you'd be only at 40% duty cycle. So anything lower than that, 210 and lower, is 100% duty cycle. So pretty much anything I need to weld is going to be 100% duty cycle. I don't have to worry about letting the machine rest or anything like that. And then you also got a block of plugs right here. So you got some GFCI protected plugs here, and also here you got your resets right here, and then these plugs are all powered on by this rubber covered switch right here. So another thing about keeping that tarp on it is it keeps all these rubber pieces in good shape and not dried out. And then you got a 240 volt plug right here, and I'll show you me running it on the plasma cutter again, because you need an adapter. You know, if you're going to use any 240 volt Lincoln welder or plasma cutter, you got to have an adapter to get to this 4-prong plug to make it work. So that's the welder itself, and I do have it mounted on a welding trailer that I fixed up. I just bought it secondhand, and kind of made it into a welding rig that I can pull, you know, with the Ranger or with my big truck here. But I mounted the welding bottles on a chain. You can see the stand I made for the welder itself. So I didn't go with a pipe or a tubing going across. I went with the tubing going all the way down the side, all the way down the rails of the welder. So I figured that would give it a little bit more support, and I drilled some holes in the tubing there, you can see, to mount it up real good. And then it's the same thing on the other side. But let me walk around this welding trailer, just show you kind of how it's set up here. So it's not as tall as the welding rack leads that I made, so I don't usually have to worry about anything going under anything too tall for it or anything. But the point I wanted to come around here, you can see this is where the battery is, and it was missing this cover when I bought it secondhand, like I said. But actually I was happy to buy it from the guy who had it for $2,000. That's a pretty good discount. Like I said, the machine is immaculate. It starts right up, runs great. But the guy I bought it from was working on a pipeline, a water pipeline out in New Braunfels, Texas. And all they ever did, they used it for was as a generator for running grinders. They never did weld with it. They had huge, you know, big, huge Lincoln machines that were they were welding with. So when I went out there, I at least wanted to try it. So they plugged it up, hooked it up, and I burned some 7018 rods with it, 532s, and it welded great. Had a good clean arc. But definitely wanted to show you the engine compartment real quick, and I got it. And it came with a a jug of Pennzoil and a little funnel that he just kept in here all the time. So that was a quick cue for me that this guy was taking care of this machine. You know, he did the oil changes regularly, so I went ahead and changed the oil again myself, and I marked in there. Oh, it looks like I got it at 921, because when I got it, I changed the oil right away. So at 921 hours is when I first got it. So I guess I've put about 40 hours on it, not 50. Right, so I'm gonna roll out these leads and show you a project. What I want to do is I have this vise right here. What I did was I welded a receiver hitch tube on it right here. But now I went ahead and bought a house from that last video you saw me at. I was in a little shop, and now I got me a pretty nice place. It's an 1.25 acres, and I got a 900 square foot metal shop. So I'll show you that inside of that right now. And what I want to do is I want to mount the plate that this came with on my welding table, so I can use the same vise here and there. I can just move it and pull the pin. But let me get that set up. Trick I learned a long time ago, someone told me, is if you roll out your ground lead first and then you move your electrode end around, then your ground wire will always be on the bottom. So if you roll out your ground lead first, you'll have less tangles. So I'm going to hook this up so that I'm ready right now. But I guess the difference between getting an Eagle 10,000 and maybe something like a Ranger, I think a Ranger 305 has a much higher duty cycle. So like this one gets down to a 40% duty cycle when you get up to those max amps. But a 305 I think has higher amps and a higher duty cycle. A regular Ranger 225 is almost exactly the same, except you have an extra knob on here to switch from AC positive, AC, DC positive, or DC negative. So what I have to do here is on this side is my electrode cable right there. So what if I want to go electrode negative, I just plug it into the negative. And if I'm ever welding with rods that want to do the opposite, then I just switch these two leads, and you got DC positive or DC negative, whatever. All right, so let's show you going into the shop here. This is the shop. Got the garage door up now, and this is the welding table that I got. And I'm gonna clean this up until I don't cause any fires on my own shop before I mount these up. But I got these two options for mounting the vise tube. I'm either going to use this receiver tube, or this is the plate that came with it. But the idea here is that on the bottom side of this table, I'm going to grind this paint off, and I'm either going to mount this up right here, or maybe use this. I think I'm going to use the plate that it came with, so it's nice and flush. So in case you've never seen one of these work, this is just a Tractor Supply. I thought it was a Wilton, but it says Olympia Tools on it. It's just a receiver hitch vise, and I had welded that up a long time ago, and it works pretty good. I wish I would have welded it about 1 inch higher, because it's right on the trailer tailgate, and it mostly works, but there's a little bit of gap under there you can see. So I wish I would have done it just 1 inch higher, but it does work pretty well. So I'm just going to pull this pin, pull that pin, and then it's got a cubby handle there. Comes right out. So I'm gonna set this down and take some measurements, square it up. I'm gonna go ahead and use this. I know I said I wouldn't, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'll just cut this off so it's square, and then measure it, and I'll get this distance. I'll cut it where it needs to be, and then I'll weld it up. That's in line, plenty of gap, cut it right there. I need to be able to hit the receiver hole, the pin hole, so that's not going to work. Okay. More this way. Right. Did it upside down. Okay. Looks like we're gonna try it like that. I can get in there. Welder. Should be able to. No problem there. Double check it. Pretty square. Okay. Right, so I'm back to the welder. Gonna crank it on, but before you do anything on any of these machines, make sure you have fuel. There, you're good to go. So the Eagle does have a sight gauge in here, and I just filled it up the other day, so I know it's full of gas. I can't quite see on the camera if you can see that fuel moving in there. And then another thing, very important, you have another engine access panel right here. So pop that open, you can get to your air cleaner, and most importantly, your oil fill and oil dipstick. So definitely has oil on it. I'm gonna wipe that off. Clean. Let's check it out. Boom, baby. Oil. That's good shit right there. Okay. Got oil. Run it. Send it. You're always gonna want to choke it on the first try. do the other side. There you go. Pretty good welds right there. And another tack weld right there. So, should be good. Alright, so the welding's all done. Got this thing mounted up. It's definitely strong. There you go. Not going to break. But the whole point of this was the receiver hitch mount. You can pull it right out, and the table's still flush, so it's not going to bother me when I'm working. I still got my full flat working space. But the whole point is on this welding trailer, I can just move it over here and line it up. And now my whole vise is just mobile, and it works here too. So that's it. Alright, so these are my final thoughts on this Lincoln Eagle 10,000 plus welder generator. I love this machine, and for me it's plenty big. Brand new at Northern Tool, you can get this for $3,750, or at Home Depot you can get it for $3,800. I got mine for $2,000 on OfferUp with 900 hours on it, but that doesn't really bother me. Those 900 hours are proof in the pudding that this is a broken-in machine that's proven reliable, and it's going to keep going. It's been able to power everything I throw at it, and eventually I'm going to wire my new home to use this as a backup generator in case of a bad storm or anything like that. I've owned it for a year now, and I'm still impressed with it. It is a simple machine. It doesn't have digital gauges or automatic adjusting amperage or anything like that, but for building fences and small projects that I have, it definitely does everything I need it to do. I like it. I recommend it. I've been able to run my plasma cutter on it, my Pro Mag 140 on 75 feet of daisy chained extension cords, and it still works just great. Some people might not care, but I keep mine clean. I keep it waxed. I can't keep it covered all the time, and you definitely won't see mine out there in the sun with faded paint. It's going to last me a long time.